Okay, so just basics of sticking and like getting bounce off the snare drum and like getting even rolls and everything, so with double strokes, single strokes and everything, so the first basic concept is, the position in which you're hitting the drum. We've talked about that with grip and everything like that, right? So, you have like a comfortable triangle that goes on here if you let your elbows kind of rest against your sides, right? So as opposed to me like playing super far out like this, if I'm relaxed, my elbows are gonna kind of hang down, right? But I can lift my wrists up, right? So my wrists can change based on the surface of where I'm going, but I'm gonna keep my elbows relaxed. Sometimes I'll raise up my elbows for a reason, but like if I'm playing snare drum, I'm not gonna be like this, right? Okay. So the basic idea, first of all, is to understand comfortable positioning. You want to be choked up on the sticks just enough to where you kind of can see the fulcrum in the stick, so the balance point. The stick balance point is more up here, right? But you want to hold it just below that. So like on these Vic Firth sticks, if you hold put your thumb around where the flag is, that kind of gives you, in that general area, you might go up or down from there, But that's kind of a good positioning to get the right balance point from the stick. So the point of it, is when you hit the stick on the drum, you want to feel the rebound of the stick against the drum. So regardless if you're playing a Titan snare drum or you're playing a practice pad, you can actually feel the stick vibrate when you do that, right? So I can feel it in the stick. So if I hold too tight, I can't feel any vibration really. I mean, it kills it right away. So if I hold super loose and it vibrates the most, then I have no control. If it's too loose, it falls out. So you have to kind of think from the angle of holding loose and then tighten as you need to, as opposed to holding super tight and loosening. That makes sense? So you're gonna be really loose, and then you're gonna tighten when you need to play harder, right? Okay. So the concept here is you wanna think of the stick bouncing off the drum. So you wanna allow the stick to do that. So there are different ways for that to happen. I can use just my wrist here and let the stick bounce right back like that, and just basically cradling it in my hand and letting the stick bounce, right? See that down here? So that's pretty simple. Or I can give it a little bit more wrist and arm, kind of like the molar, and more of a snap kind of emotion. But I'm still, when I do that, I feel the stick bouncing back. Like that's like the important part. Is it's not about the hit, it's about the bounce after the hit. Like how you come out of the hit in a sense, So meaning that when I'm practicing, say, single strokes, I want to feel the sticks bouncing back off the drum towards me or towards up, right? Okay. So what you don't want is to be pushing the sticks into the drum and not letting them bounce and trying to force it. That'd be the extreme example, right? But some people even do it with a little bit and it's still, you're controlling the stick too much. You gotta let the stick bounce. Now watch this. If I just really lightly hold the stick in my fingers and just let them bounce really lightly, it's kind of an exaggeration of extra loose, but see how the sticks could just kind of fly out of my hands like this? Like, I'm barely even doing anything, like the stick's just kind of bouncing on its own, right? So then you want to kind of tighten up. You can kind of squeeze your fingers just a tiny bit. But, the point is you want to let the sticks bounce off the drum. And if you're doing doubles, same thing. Each stick does twice. You want each stick to bounce as much as it can. Right? So you get the bounce of each stick. Okay? Alright. So that's the basics of it. The concept is just, in a nutshell, like you can also think of in drumming, it's kind of like there are exaggerated motions that we use to like learn a technique to exaggerate it. Like if we do, going down and then up, kind of exaggeration motions and stuff. But we're not going to necessarily play like that. It's more of like we do that to get the feel of it, and then when we're playing, we feel that, but it's not as extreme, So same thing here. I want the stick to be bouncing off the drum, but I'm not letting it fly super far off, right? Okay. So you get that. See, if I right here, you can just kind of go like this, and just whip the stick, and you can kind of feel it wanting to whip back. If you hold it like kind of like this, kind of goofy style. And you can feel that stick like just flipping right back at you, you know what I mean? So that's that feeling, you want that to come off of the drums, The tighter the drum, the more it's gonna bounce and stuff, but basically, that's the concept, is letting the sticks bounce off the drum. My teachers would always say think of picking a piece of paper off the drum with the stick, right? Okay. Now that's an exaggerated motion. I'm not gonna play drums lifting it off like super tight, but you get the feel of that. the sooner you get the stick off the drum, the more it can resonate, right? The longer I leave the drum on, the more it resonates. Does that make sense? So if I go really quick, you hear it resonate, like ring out. But if I go like this, it's dead, right? Okay, so